What's up? It's Shantae, aka 40 Tay, with my man.
Jay, how y'all doing?
Hey, we want to talk about CIT
And
presentations that I do, and CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Team. I teach the deputies how to go out to a call with people who have a mental illness, so there's less suicide by cop. I've been doing it for my county for 7 years, and I did it for a year and a half for another county. And I started with my therapist a long time ago, asked me if I wanted to share my testimony to the deputies to teach them how to deal with people with mental illness because, I've been suffering since I was 11 after I got really traumatized, and I've relived my life. And when I do my presentations, I bring my mom, my fiance, and my teacher, which is Jay, my fiance. And so you could get a perspective of a parent's view with somebody who has a mental illness. You could get a student view, like what the resource school officers might want to go through. But this is college because him and I met at PHCC. Shout out PHCC, Miss Downey.
mhm.
Anyways, sorry. Um, and you get a teacher's perspective of somebody who deals with a mental illness. And my presentation is a little bit special because I don't have dual diagnosis. I only have a mental illness. I don't have any drug or alcohol problems, so it's not dual. It's just somebody suffering from a mental illness, and that's very rare because a lot of people who suffer from mental illness are into drugs or recreational drugs or drinking or some type of harmful way of numbing themselves. So my way was by cutting. So by the grace of God, I never got hooked on hardcore drugs or liquor. I just ended up cutting. But that's just as bad as those, if you ask me. But it's in a different effect. But I'm gonna let Jay explain what he goes through when he is at one of my presentations because I can't speak for him, so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. Go ahead, baby.
All right. Well, at the CIT training, I would say that it's one of those deals where I stand in front of a lot of law enforcement, and I just wait to give my point of view on things that Shantae and I have been through.
Like, give
And
an example.
Uh, one example would be if Shantae has a fugue episode and the police end up at the house or something like that. Um, I will have to sometimes let them know, like, they don't have a female, please bring a female because Shantae, she might kind of react a certain hostile way to males because of her past history with them. And the last thing she needs is to be physically attacked or manhandled aggressively. And a lot of times that doesn't go well for other people even when they have a badge. This is not to um, challenge law enforcement. This is not to big her up by any means. It's just a track record that's happened. Um, and sometimes we just need a little bit of a voice of reason. And, I may have had probably maybe one episode where things could have gotten aggressive between her and an officer, but um, sure enough, I was able to maintain that peace. And yeah, as her fiance, I would say that I have I don't want to say advantage or, only way to calm her down because there are other people who can do that. But sometimes I have to be that voice of reason before she can completely let her guard down and stuff. Because even though in my eyes I don't see a Fugue episode as anything crazy or awkward, um, I just see it as a bad moment or a bad time, really, which we all have. And I'm not naive that things can get dangerous and everything, but
There was a lady at his church that said for in the beginning of our relationship to watch out because I might kill him.
yeah. And I'm not saying this to be macho at any point or anything, but physically,
It ain't happening.
yeah, like I don't I'm not really good at being a victim, I'll say, physically.
First of all, it ain't gonna happen because I don't. When I disassociate and have a fugue episode, Jay and only certain people can talk to me. If you don't know certain things, words or words that you say to get me back to reality. You know what I mean? Like say, hey, look, he'll call me, Tay, baby girl, killer babe, or you know what I mean, something like that to bring me back.
Yeah.
I would never want to hurt this man. I'd hurt for him.
And of course, as a good guy, I would never want to put my hands on a female, you know. Yeah, I know she's not always the most ladylike, but hey, female's a female, and that does not go for people who weren't born that way. I'm just gonna put that out right now, controversial or not. It is what it is. And we pretty much have a controversial relationship. She lives enough of a controversial life, so yeah, this is not the whole cuddly, gentle uh, type of episodes on YouTube that you're gonna be seeing. This is raw, uncut, real life. It's not cute. It is real. She goes through some severe things. So if we're trying to be politically correct, just know that the only way we're politically correct is if it stops people from getting hurt.
Or hurting others or themselves.
Right. However, back on the C.I.T. training more specifically, um, you know, I've gotten questions asked of how do I deal with someone with a mental illness or,
Why do you stay with her?
yeah. And my answers are fairly simple. You know, I stay with her because I love her. Um, and I mean, I'm not afraid of her. So it's not to where I feel my life is necessarily, no, I don't feel like my life's in danger at all. And that right there isn't off of me feeling secure of handling myself alone, but also just the fact that when it comes down to it, people are people. Diagnose whatever you want to throw in, serial
Mental
killer.
illness doesn't discriminate.
No. And neither do I. So if you have a mental illness or whatever, you know, your issue can be, um, I, unless you're on hardcore drugs. I mean, that right there
We
might
don't know
be a
nothing
little,
about that. I'm sorry. I'd have to refer you to my friend Chandelier.
or just bad with handling alcohol because I have it a little bit in my family. I'm not going to say which side, but let's just say I've heard and seen a couple of things. More than that, but of course not recently. However, yeah, there's always some sort of aggression or some sort of danger in some point of life, whether you choose to ignore it or not. But if you don't choose to ignore it, 9 times out of 10, it's not really some big panic episode or whatever. And if you have a relationship with someone, at some point there comes a time where you have to look at the person and not what they're doing. Not that I ever did that. Even before then, before we even got together, I never cared to look into mental illness. Um, but yeah, even as I learned more about it, um, I didn't look at her any different because, you know, yeah, she's
And you don't get a
diagnosed.
lot of guys or people out there like that. I've been very blessed to have Jay in my life.
Yeah. And, she's always going to be Shantae either way I look at it, you know?
Appreciate it.
No problem, hon. Um, you know, you just have to really look at people and not what they have or what they're
Don't
dealing
read a
with.
book by its cover. The only reason why you know I have a mental illness, because mental illness is not visible. The only way you know I have a mental illness is if you look at my arms. If my arms were on my left arm, if it wasn't all cut up with scar tissue, since I've been cutting since I was 11, I'll be 41 here. So, you know what I mean? You wouldn't even guess that I have a mental illness. I look somewhat normal, whatever people say is normal, but up in here, I ain't normal. I'm not wired correctly. I'm wired a little bit different than other people. And that's hard for me to defrag and get into go grocery shopping because I have anxiety and I have paranoia and stuff, and I have to do things like with people because of my anxiety. It's just my mental illness to me is high maintenance. I wouldn't wish it on my worst. I wouldn't wish it on the people who rape me. And because it takes a lot to not give up. I get so exhausted sometimes where I just like don't tell nobody nothing and just do it. And then I still end up being found. So I'm alive for a reason.
Yeah. Out of the grace of God.
Amen.
And, yeah, like, basically, we're all gonna go through some things, and the world is not as, harmless, or you're not as safe as you really would like to believe. So at some point, we just have to come to the conclusion that we're all human beings and we gotta just deal with each other. Anything else?
Accept people for who they are and not what they have
Yep,
or have to offer. So
exactly.
C.I.T. It's called Crisis Intervention Team. It's like I said, it's to teach the deputies how to deal with people with mental illness. This is Shantae on Life's Gift. If you like my videos, subscribe. Put a thumbs up. I'm open for any questions. I'm sure he is too. If you have any questions for him, AK-48 out with my man.
Have a blessed one, guys. Peace.